Do you want to know what a CFO can do for you while you're preparing your business for sale or thinking about selling or going through a transaction? This video is for you. I am Natalie Cook with Finance Fight Club, and I'm going to share a little bit about what a fractional CFO can do for your business through the sale of your company, and why it's important to engage early and not at the last minute. So, of course, our firm can do last minute support through due diligence, but we are much better positioned if we have at least a year with you to help get ready. 3 to 5 to 10 years is even better because there's just so much more we can do with that amount of time. I'm going to back up and I'm going to say this because I think it's so important. Finance is a fairly slow function of the company. Finance moves slower than other parts. You can do a marketing campaign. I like Facebook ads because it's just clear ROI, not always clear ROI, but clearly you can see results or not results, right? So you can flip on a campaign in Facebook and you can run it for 3 months or 3 weeks and you can see some results. Finance, it's hard. It's hard to see. It takes months, multiple months to clean up profit and loss statements. There's all these moving pieces. You're dependent on all other parts of the team. And so I think sometimes when it comes to fractional CFO work, it's like, well, finance can't do much quickly, or we want to do things quickly, but there's just a lot of barriers in the way. That's not really what that video is about, but I think it's worth noting that if you are just new to working with a finance team, give it time. I think that our team, I know I do my best work when I have 12 months. If I have less than 12 months, it's risky. We can do a lot quickly, but it's not that quick. And we're a fast team. So that's just a function of finance. Now, let me talk about specifically to help sell a company. What does a fractional CFO do that is really important for you? The one thing that our team does that I think we do a really good job on is we kind of project manage, making sure that your financials are prepared and clear and tell the right story. So there's a couple things going on in that bucket. There's the actual true accounting. Is that correct and accurate? Is it done the right way? Does it make sense? There's the compliance. Are the taxes complete? Do they understand? Do they match? All of those things, that's a fractional CFO project manages that. Our team does not complete that work. We utilize other teams. We do have a cleanup team, but primarily we're working as a project manager for those items and overseeing it. It's a little bit of nuanced controller work, but it's really that overseeing what is going on, what's the true picture of this business. The next piece of that is making sure that if we're going to share this information, that it's clean and clear and tells the right story. So this might be taking the data from the bookkeeping software and making it prettier. And by prettier, I mean just cleaner, telling the story, reducing the amount of information that someone has to review in order to get the idea that they want. So it's not changing the numbers, it's not changing any accuracy. It's just that we might collapse some lines in a P&L and show operating expenses, and then they can do digging into the details when they need it. But you can only manage so many pieces of financial data. So there is a true storytelling aspect there that is just kind of condensing information in a more visually appealing way, but also directing them to what is the right thing that we want them to focus on. The next piece of it is cleaning up a lot of the discretionary income. What is discretionary income? So that's that income that an owner or shareholders can kind of do with what they want. They can reinvest it in the business. They can take it out. Those pieces is where that selling is nuanced, right? Because I like using this example. It's different, a little bit different with C Corps. But if you are in a partnership LLC or single member LLC, your discretionary earnings are really truly up to your discretion on how you want to invest those. But you can make trade-offs between lowering your tax bill or increasing your profit on your P&L. And some of that, I think, is where a fractional CFO can come in and one can tell that story to a potential buyer on what trade-offs you made and why. And so that they can see, okay, I could make this set of choices and get a different outcome. But also to clean it up. Sometimes owners are putting so many personal things through their business and they just need someone to be like, stop for a year. It's not going to hurt your taxes, or you can do it this way, or you can do it a different way. That's super important. And I think that's where a fractional CFO can come in and kind of play that. Again, a little bit project manager, advisor, give you the choices of what you want to make. We don't want your tax bill to go up, but we also don't want you to lose out on value, because sometimes owners are so focused on reducing their tax bill by $1,000, but really that could increase their selling price by $100,000. And it would be silly for you to lose out on that just to save a little bit on taxes now. The other thing a fractional CFO does, and our team does really well, is connect you with the right experts. You need a lot of people on your team to go sell a business. You need a lawyer. You might need multiple lawyers. You might need an M&A advisor or a business broker. You might need an HR specialist. You might need a banker. All of these things is what a fractional CFO is, just one point of entry into that. All of those other experts can also connect you to more experts. And I know for a fact that in my network, we are always constantly trying to surround business owners with multiple experts, because we know that it's not a one type of professional that gets a business ready to sell. It's a lot of people. I only look at finances, but I can flag, hey, I think we have a compliance issue with HR. Let's get an HR specialist. Or, hey, this is a legal issue. This needs to go to a legal team. And there's a lot of overlap. Lots of overlap with taxes, legal, finance, all of those little pieces. So that's incredibly important. We are just one entry point into that, though, and there's many entry points. So definitely surround yourself with experts. The last thing that I think we do a really good job with is help you through the actual due diligence side of things. So in my goal and in my experience, when we've worked with a client for more than 12 months or at least 12 months, that due diligence period gets really short because we're able to answer the questions for them. We know all of the nuances. We know everything on those financial statements, so that when the due diligence team coming in and asking those questions, we're like, yep, this is what it is. And we know how to bridge that gap, because explaining finance from a non-finance language is very challenging. And so when we get a question on, hey, what are these R&D credits? Why is this on the balance sheet? What's this? We've had that 12 months to prepare and really understand your business. Those questions we're able to answer, and then they go away. And I think that's probably one of the best gifts that you can give yourself if you are at all considering a fractional CFO for the sale of your business. Now, I have two kind of really cool stories about due diligence that I think are really fun. So two clients, very different businesses, went through due diligence last year. I think one of them, they had almost no questions. We were able to prep in advance for what they might want to see. No questions, past financing. The actual documents that our team put together went to the bank for the buyers to get financing, and it worked. It was helpful for their bank to be able to assess whether this was a bankable business for them. I'm amazed. I'm very grateful. I was hopefully our plan, but it wasn't like a thing we had a ton of data points on if that would work, but it did, and it was great. The second one is we went through due diligence. Again, long-term client. Both these clients we've worked with for 3 years or slightly longer, I believe. And really, I was able to get on the call with the other finance team and answer due diligence questions on behalf. And because I'd been working with it and I knew all the information, I had all the questions, it was just seamless, and they repeated a lot of the questions and we answered them again, but it took a big layer off. And because we had this finance team built, there was actually this like very obscure last minute tax panic thing from a notice in California, which it's probably its own video. And just because the finance team was built, it was basically a non-issue. It was able to be resolved within 2 days because everybody had the history that they needed with the business. So I don't think you can put that in a sales pitch in the way that I would like. So this is my sales pitch to you, a little bit of just that like longevity with the clients just makes due diligence. Like it goes from this big thing to this little tiny thing because you've dealt with most of it up front. And we're able to kind of look through all of those things and kind of do pre-due diligence for you. There's always a question someone's not going to ask, but that length of time and the time, just having that history and like building the rapport and understanding the financials, then when it comes to it, it's a no-brainer. If you are interested in fractional CFO support, I think the best thing that you can do, you can watch more of our videos, but also just book a call with me and I'd be happy to chat with you and see if we are the right fit for you. Thanks for being here today. I am Natalie Cook with Finance Fight Club. Thank you.